Let's bring in Karl Rove. He's a former White House Deputy Chief of Staff and a Fox News contributor. Karl, great to have you on this evening. So tell me, how do you rate that rollout by Ron DeSantis yesterday?
Well, two things. One, first of all, if you were watching it on Twitter and you were on your laptop or your desktop, this is what you saw. A little black box and then voices in the background talking. Not exactly the most, the best way to meet a candidate. They were looking for novelty. They tried it. I think it would have been much better had he started off by a more traditional approach and then gone on and been interviewed on Twitter and gone on and be interviewed by Mark Levine on radio and then done Trey Gowdy on Fox, all of that. But we would have seen, if he'd given a speech, we would have seen him surrounded by people. We would have felt the energy. We would have felt a connection with him. I don't know why they did this. Now, the other thing is,
I was going to say, Karl, or maybe not, because people say that that's his downside, right? That he's just not that personable. Maybe he chose this way of doing it, this socially distanced rollout, because he knows he doesn't have that charm and personality. Well,
you know what? He went to Iowa and look at him flipping pork burgers there at the Fenstra picnic. You know, he went to Dallas and Houston for the Lincoln Day dinners, gave unbelievably good talks with huge crowds. He went to New Hampshire and did a great evening there. Didn't eat the meal. He said he went from table to table saying hello, gave a speech. He was interrupted by protesters, laughed it off. The crowd loved it. He's fully capable of giving a really good speech. Now, here's my biggest issue. My biggest issue is that he turned over the control of his message to two guys on Twitter, Elon Musk and David Sachs, and then gave it over to Mark Levine, and then gave it over to Trey Gowdy. Now, that was the Gowdy interview was terrific, but there is Elon Musk asking him about, what do you think about the Federal Reserve issuing its own crypto coin? I mean, is that the central issue facing the DeSantis campaign? So you want to give a speech, you want to roll out your message so you control the initial contact that you have with the American voters, and they get a sense of what it is that you have as values in your heart and what it is that you want to achieve for the country, not with some guy who's on the Twitter, trying to rescue his $44 billion investment, what he does and what he wants to talk about. So,
well, I mean, that's such a great question, Karl. I mean, he's a smart guy. Why did he choose to do it this way? Is this a lack of leadership, a bad decision? What is this? How does that decision to roll out the way he did with all the mistakes that you just laid out and all the missed opportunities, what does that say about Ron DeSantis as a leader?
Well, let's be careful about reading too much into it. What does it say about Donald Trump that the first major TV appearance he gets is a town hall on CNN, in which it turned into a shouting match between he and
most people thought that was a win, Karl. Most people thought he won that debate. I mean, that town hall.
He might have won it on points, but what did he do that night that convinced anybody who wasn't already in love with him and who'd voted for him last time to vote for him this time? He lost by 7 million votes last time around. He's got to convince some people he's got a second act in him, and I don't think that town hall, it may have helped him inside the Republican Party and the Republican primary, but if your ultimate goal is to win back the White House, you got to be able to get people who voted against you last time to vote for you this time around, and that didn't achieve it for him. It just reinforced all of the election was stolen, and you're the lying media, and I'm a nasty person, and you're a nasty person. Maybe it worked for the Republican primary, but that shouldn't be our goal. Our goal ought to be ultimately to win the general election.
So, Karl, here's my question for you. I look at I think they both would probably do a great job as president. Anybody would be better than Joe Biden. We just talked about his poll numbers, and I think a lot of Democrats are disappointed as well. But I think the biggest challenge that Ron DeSantis faces is that a lot of people look at what's happened to Donald Trump, the DOJ going after him, being spied. We now know from the Durham report that everything we thought that they did was true. The way the FBI and the DOJ hid the information about the Hunter Biden laptop, which, as we know, absolutely changed that election. So I think for a lot of people, it's about justice. And maybe they feel, I'm definitely hearing that they like both guys, but justice means that Donald Trump should get that second term that he was denied by the interference of Obama, Hillary, the deep state, the media in the last election. a lot of people are saying that's the hurdle that Ron DeSantis has to face. In addition, in addition to the fact that some people feel like he's not very grateful for the fact that Donald Trump put him there in the governorship. He wouldn't have won had Donald Trump not come in and helped him out in the 11th hour.
Well, that's what Donald Trump says. We don't know that. But here's the deal. You're right about the attitude that you described, but that's the attitude of Republicans who like Donald Trump and like Ron DeSantis and feel that the former president ought to be given a second shot because he was mistreated in 2020. But that's not the electorate. The electorate that's the base of the electorate. Whoever's going to win the nomination has got to be prepared to win the general election. And that means winning people who voted for Joe Biden last time around. And that argument is going to go flat with them. That just isn't going to sell.
Well, it's an interesting debate. And hopefully this primary will sort this out. Karl, you are the architect. It's always good to get your opinion, though I disagree. We'll see what happens.
You bet. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.